talk about some practices that the Muslims or religion or Islam prescribes that leads to many Muslims becoming very wealthy and and in the Western world they kind of know this in the back of their mind, but it they become resentful. Like I was trying to get dates in Tinder, and a lot of women they came in and right away they asked for money. I asked one of them, why do you are so focused on getting money from me? She said because Muslims and Arabs they reward women with cash, and it's like then I didn't want to give her money because I didn't know her, didn't see her, who the hell she is. And I wanted to meet her. I wouldn't mind giving her money or even paying for the date. But I want to go over some of the practices that in the religion of Islam, and also many Muslims, they practice this. It leads to wealth. It leads to prosperity, and also to really good relations, cohesion in society. Society is not fucked up. Everything is working well. It's like a well-oiled machine. When I was a kid, my dad, we bought a house in Tehran, and my dad wanted to do some repairs. I think wanted to kind of widen the walls. I don't know what they call it now. Yeah, so he went out and he hired this guy. He was a construction worker, and he came in and did some work, and he whitened the walls and kind of brightened the house, because it was really old house. And I was watching how my dad behaved with this construction worker. So when they were negotiating, and the reason I'm telling this is I want to show you the Islamic or Muslim way of dealing with labor, with workers, with employees. And it goes back in the concept of insaf, which means insaf means the word itself comes from the word nusf, which is in Arabic, it means going halfway, half. Insaf means the practice of going halfway, which it has a connotation of fair play, like taking other people's or labor's feelings or demands into consideration, into serious consideration. So they were negotiating over the money for the. I guess he worked like 2 days, or that's all he worked. It was like an odd job, and he asked for a certain amount. It was kind of my dad thought it was high. They were kind of like wrangling over the price. And finally, my dad said he agreed to whatever he said. I guess he came down a little bit, and then my dad said, just fine, that's good. So they started working. He started working, and then the lunchtime came in. My dad went out and bought him lunch. I gave him time, whatever time he needed to finish work and all that. And then he finished work and he was gone. So, the way it looked like he really didn't want to aggravate or didn't want to shortchange him in the money or in the amenities, whatever that he needed to do his work. And the relations were very amicable, and At the end, he thanked him, paid him. There was nothing else to it. So, but one you can compare this to the way many American corporations they behave with their employees. It was very backward, very hostile, and they fight over every thing, every aspect of it. Even when it, in comparison to the amount of money that the corporation is making, their profits or even their share price, the monies that the employees or the labor are asking are just minuscule. I want to tell you an example. Is like few years ago, there were strikes in a lot of these stores like Vaughn's or Lucky or what's the other one, Ralph, Stater Brothers. All their employees were like union. Anyhow, they had walked out, and the company went out. I hired all new cashiers, kind of like told them you're all fired, and we're gonna hire all new cashiers. So they hired temporary people, and they went into negotiations. And over here, the courts sometimes take sides with the labor, and that's the only thing the labor movement really has in the United States, is that some judges are sympathetic to them. Okay, but there's nothing in the law itself. They have to resort to attorneys or labor board or case law to if they have problem with the employers to resolve that problem, get their pay, or even things like if the company want to let the troublesome employee go. Everything is up to negotiations, but there isn't the goodwill from corporations or towards employees. They're very much considered an expendable kind of commodity. I think that's very sad. I could also refer to 2, 3 other examples, like the way the automakers, U.S. automakers were behaved towards labor, and they completely abandoned factories in Toledo, in Detroit. The economies of those places were completely were shattered. And then the companies themselves, of all the corporations that were making cars in those places, only 1 or 2 remain, and they're very much scaled back. And then the rest, they ran out of business, was sold out to foreigners. So there isn't a goodwill. There is no in the United States any kind of sentiment that, hey, we are all American. We don't want these other guys to get trashed. We don't like that. Okay, so we're gonna put laws, and even when the labor succeeds in putting laws, then the corporations go around them in a million ways and destroy it. Well, now a lot of the corporations themselves are getting trashed because the manufacturing is becoming so automated, AI. Who needs these guys? Who needs their bad attitude? And either manufacture it cheaply in foreign countries or manufacture it with robots. So it's like the New England expression that says, what goes around comes around. Like that meanness, that being a total motherfucker and fighting over every penny and everything, that attitude, it just goes around. It became losses to the labor. The losses to the labor went around and became losses to corporations, and then it's going on and on. The labor relations in the United States could learn something from Muslims or Islamic practices in economics, which is called insaf, which means fair play, taking other sides' view. That's something that they don't have or much of any. Then I went to a movie last night. I guess the movie was I think it was like called Death Cure or Maze Runner, and then like in this movie, it's non-stop. Everybody's killing each other. It's like, and also the whole society is dying from some mysterious virus, and there are like just a few nurses trying to find the cure. Everybody, even the nurses, they get killed, and even their last hope, which is the guy that has the right blood type that could cure these sons of bitches, even he gets killed. I mean, I couldn't watch to the end of the movie. I thought it really sucked, and also looked the way U.S. culture is. It's just that these people, they don't love each other in any way at all. I'm totally right in predicting that there will be civil war here, and the place is going to fall into pieces. Because if you don't love your neighbor or the other side, there isn't some kind of care, some kind of regards for the other guys, the other gals, for labor, then the society really doesn't have that thing that holds it together. The goodness that the Muslim word for it is baraka, which means something has to hold. There should be a center. Like this concept of baraka is the only way that I know the Christians, they know about it is like when Jesus had 2,000-3,000 people, invited them to like a huge dinner and mass, and then they brought so many fish, and at the end they collected all these other fishes. It's like the plenty and the blessing that comes in when there is insaf, there is regards for. So it doesn't matter what the economic system is. I think this is one thing that causes Muslim societies to be extremely wealthy, or more than average, more wealthy than other places. Then there are other practices. I'm going to just go down a list of these ideas, and the other one is that in the Muslim or Islamic philosophy or theology or in the family practice, the father is the one that has the upper hand legally, which means that the father owns all the children. The children belongs to him. If there is any kind of dispute in the courts, whatever, the court or qazi, the judge, will give the children to the father, and the father usually has better economics. In the many Muslim countries, has access to his mother, which is already established family, already established household. So even if the woman just completely goes berserk or kills herself, or doesn't matter what she does, the father will take the children and raise them in his mom's household and just pay her money. That's in my over here I had a lot of trouble with my ex. She was on drugs. I got custody of the kid. I could get many services, many things the kid needed, like child support. I could get housing, all that, because in the traditional sense, I'm the guy who any company would look at me and say, hey, this is a customer, I could get deals, I could negotiate any amenity. So there is some kind of strength there. It's like that won't fall apart. And what this is the concept I'm trying to get at. It's like the family, no matter what she does or what the society does or what has happened, it has a strength. It has resources that no matter what happens, you can go on. I can compare this to like the black community. I mean, the blacks used to be Muslim before slavery. They lost some of these institutions, but in their community, the father is always absent. This is wrong. This is not Muslim. Muslim says the father, hey, not only you have the upper legal hand, but also you are the one who will be paying. So also because the father has the upper hand, he often he pays willingly. It's not something that's forced through child support system. I don't know. These ideas might seem very alien to Americans, but hey, this I've seen this all my life, and Muslims they practice this. Then another concept that leads to wealth in many Muslim countries is the concept of homes. Homes means a fifth. The connotation of this name word means like if say you work or you have a business and you pay all your expenses at the end of the year or at the end of the month, you have a certain net profit, net whatever is left to you after you get rid of all the expenses. That's you are supposed to pay willingly without any laws or any judges or anybody coming in and forcing you to do so. Homes, a fifth of this net profit for charity. Okay, the Muslim expression for it is fi sabilillah, to whoever you deem like they need it, you know, and you know it, and you don't need any institutions, you don't need any, you know, this money could go to your own ex, or it could go to your mother, could go to neighbor, whoever, as long as you know this is going for charitable cause. So it's based on your own initiative. Then there is another concept. It's called. Not everybody can afford this one. It's called purity or zakat. Zakat means usually it's like 5% of your net income. So if you paid homes, which is the fifth, and zakat, which is the purity, if you paid them both, you will end up paying on your own without any cajoling or anybody be on your top of you, 25% of your net income to charitable causes. Okay, so this is very nice. I think, in fact, that in Russia, the Russian government instituted a 25% tax. So if you can come in and make an oil company there or do any kind of business, as long as you pay your homes and zakat, you pay your 25% of it, you are good to go. And then there's other concept. There's one or two other concepts that leads to wealth in all of society, not just in certain parts. But the Sufi master said that when you pay the taxes, okay, well, I mean, over here the government takes the taxes and prints some money and practice more militarism. But say, for example, you were in a country that didn't do that. You were like in Scandinavia, it's democratic system, and you knew you pay the taxes, these taxes are going to go to building roads and hospitals and paying for homeless, all that stuff. So this can be substituted for khums and zakat, which is like the 25% I talked about. This is very nice. It takes the edge of straight capitalism because the society has ways of mitigating the damaging sides of capitalism. And in fact, in the United States, the only way capitalism survived was through good, what they call it, good deal or a New Deal by R.F. Roosevelt, and he brought in the Social Security and minimum wage and all that. So the society cannot live without charity or ihsan. Okay, that's the final concept in Islamic economic practices that leads to wealth in society. And ihsan means just that, charity. So the Prophet Muhammad said that even a smile can be charity. So there are a lot of things that happen in society that you can't really fix that with just giving some money away. Okay, so taking care of elderly, taking care of kids, taking time for sick people, stuff like that is like service. Yeah, this is the concept. It leads to wealth because there is always somebody, the patriarch of the family or matriarch, or that if whole shit hits the fan, there is this person. Hey, I can go to her and she will help me out. So, for example, I had a lot of hard times a few years ago. I go to my mom and she give me money without any kind of the same. This concept is very important, and also having somebody you can tell her your troubles. That's fantastic. So the net effect of these practices is that it mitigates or cuts back on warfare between people, like inside the family or between groups in society. It creates cohesion, and then economically the society grows because the technology is always growing. There's always cheaper labor coming in from outside. There's always new materials being developed. So yeah, it helps capitalism function, even though many capitalists or economists they don't really recognize that. Well, they're stupid because this has been going on for thousands of years. I think that the Christian charity is just about the same equivalent of these same ideas. And I want to do one last one. That this has to do with the banking and the religion of Islam bans or looks down on interest on capital. Like in Muslim countries or in Iran too, they don't call low interest. Like if you went to the bank and got like a couple of $1,000 and they gave you something like I don't know, 3, 4% or 5% interest rate, they don't say that this is bahre or interest. They call it haqq zahame, which means haqq zahme, which means like the right for my trouble. It's like the bank is telling you, hey, I want to just charge you a little bit of money because I came and gave you this lump sum. Okay, but it's not really looked at as interest. But if you went to the same bank and they gave you an interest rate of 10 or 15 or 20, then that's going to be called bahre, which means has a dirty connotation that they're like taking advantage of you. They're practicing usury. Okay, so there is a little bit of distinction, and that's to make sure that in society there is a supply of money to do projects, but not a huge like a huge kind of usury going on. And then the religion also condemns many Jews and puts religious taxes on them or anybody that's like them, because they tend to become bankers and financial institutions, and we end up with what we have here in the United States, all the fraud and all that stuff. So there is the society tax these people, and they can become a big problem. Realize that you have the political power to tell them to shut up or change things. You are the one in charge. Not okay. It's not like here when the bankers go and buy the politicians. Is what the religion of Islam is saying. The politicians, the political system must be on top. Like the Icelanders told the bankers, we are in charge. We tell you what's illegal or what's immoral. All right. These practices, they lead to wealth because all the money is not siphoned into certain places. The money becomes ta'dil sarvat. Ta'dil means distribution and moderation of wealth. In fact, I think many Muslims, they have nice deep pockets, and they are the one that can make the decisions. I wish that Muslims spend money to dismantle all the fucking despots that we have developed, and also spend money like they spend money on election to bring good people through democratic elections, not khalifas or despots. Well, there's I think a lot of other practices that lead to wealth, but I want to leave you with one last one, is that the religion of Islam says you trust in God, you don't trust in these economic machinations. All right. Thank you very much. Please leave a comment and subscribe.